Next on the Moment of Grace podcast, Dr. Butler speaks with Karen Bashford, author of How to Be Imperfectly Perfect. They will discuss how to manifest love even if you came out of an environment that wasn't loving.
This is your host, Dr. A. Jerome Butler, and you're listening to The Moment of Grace. Good day, good day. It is a wonderful day to be alive. I always say, as it comes to my wife and I could have done worse. I couldn't have done any better. I truly believe that. She has come from a home that is so loving. In fact, I at one time had to thank her parents for raising such a phenomenal, amazing woman who's been just awesome in my life and also a blessing to my family. My wife had this beautiful relationship with her family, and I thank God for the relationship I had with my family. Unfortunately, dear hearts, that's not everybody's witness. Sometimes we go through with our family and our thought processes of where we are starts with the relationships that we're in. I truly believe this, that we are manifested by the relationships we're in, and what things that are told to us become what we believe. It's difficult to get oranges from an apple tree. If the apple is told that it's rotten, it eventually will, even if the tree is healthy. My guest today knows this oh too well. She's an author. She is a powerful speaker. And we just want to welcome today with us on Moments of Grace, Karen Bashford. Karen, welcome to Moments of Grace.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, it's wonderful to have you here with us. With that said, would you introduce yourself to us, please?
Yes, I'm known as the Manifesting Lady, and predominantly my life story has now become my mission to help other women improve their lives.
Got you. Now you're also a healer into hypnotherapy as well.
Yes.
And so share with us, first of all, this journey that you're on. How did you become, I'm known, maybe self-known as the man that has wisdom on steroids. So so how did you get to be known as the Manifesting Lady? So share with us that story, Karen.
It started, basically, I used to run networking groups, and in those networking groups, I just used to speak to the people that come along. And there would always be, how do we do this? How do we do that kind of situation? My background is finance.
Okay.
And I'd simply answer a question with a suggestion. And it was like they followed that suggestion. It could be something really simple of, why don't you just send an email telling people what you can offer them?
Right.
And they did it. And they got results. So they started calling me the Manifesting Lady.
Okay. I got you. But that wasn't the road that may have been maybe some part of your journey, but that wasn't the beginning of your journey. Share with us how this began, because we see tidbits of who we are and what our purposes are as we travel along. So what were the first steps for Karen to become the Manifesting Lady?
Well, the first steps weren't very good, unfortunately.
Okay.
I've had 2 abusive relationships. One gentleman I married, and one I actually just partnered with. But that wasn't the start of the journey. That was just part of the journey. But I didn't realize until I was 50 where my journey really started. And that was with my parents not telling me they loved me or physically holding me. Unfortunately, even now, my mother cannot say the words, I love you. If I say I love her to you, she'll just turn around and say, and me. She just can't physically say the words.
So let me ask you a question, Karen, if you don't mind. And, you know, like I say, we're going to conversate. Do you perceive that as being them, or is that part of the British culture? Because I've had some friends from Britain and, you know, everything this, now I could be wrong. I don't live there. Everything is about how it looks. And I know years ago, you know, the children are seen and not heard type deal. So do you think is it cultural, or is this just the way your parents were?
Partly cultural, but a lot of it I know was family history. Parents did not tell their children they loved them.
Right. Okay.
It's gone through the generations, but if they don't know how to say it, unless they're conscious of needing to say it, how do they know they need to say it?
Wow. You're right. And so to go for 50 years without at least verbal affection, how were they? And you said they didn't hug and didn't do too much physical as well. How did you feel loved? I guess the next question would be, other than, you know, material, because then that's the only thing that's left, right? Or am I wrong?
That's correct. And I wasn't aware of not being loved. I was just part of this family that just lived, that did things together. We went out together. I've got a brother and sister. They looked after us. They did a wonderful job of looking after us and making sure we were safe and secure within that home environment. But they just couldn't physically say the words, or didn't know how to hug, or weren't comfortable hugging. So,
well, after 50 years since this was out of character for them, what transpired to bring them to that point, Karen? Because if that's the norm, what broke the norm? And I can see you getting, you know, kind of. So what broke the norm? What happened to bring to bring that to a head?
It wasn't them, it was me. I was actually on a coaching call with somebody, and I was asked, what would you love in your life? And just out the blue, I just said, to hear my parents love me.
Wow.
I'd never been conscious of the fact they hadn't.
It was just normal. Yeah.
It was just normal. I used to hug my friends. I used to tell my friends I loved them, but I didn't think to question. My parents had never told me.
Right. And so that first hug and that first emotional connection with them, how was that for you? I mean, did you feel as if all of those years had come to a head? I'm sure there may have been crying on your part, and I don't know about their. How did they react? Let's look at them from your perspective. How did they react?
My father, unfortunately, passed by the time I'd realized what was going on. My mother literally was a rod. She just couldn't physically hug.
Right.
So I just gave her a hug and I just said, I love you. And it was like, what do I do with this? I don't know how to handle this. Wow. I don't know what this is all about. Why now? What's going on? So yeah, it's still very much a challenge for her. She just cannot accept hugs. She cannot accept the words I love you. She finds it really, really hard.
Right. It's just not a normal place for her. And we understand that when you understand where a person is, then you love them in spite of, you know.
Yes.
Amen. That's good. What I like to do, Karen, is take a little break. And when we come back, I want to talk about your book and some of the amazing things you're doing with helping people and kind of helping people to learn how to manifest, because I don't think people understand that there's a intuitive power that we have. And just like you just said, you know, when you were asked, I would like to hear my parents say they love me. You put something out there that actually manifested. Even though you had to initiate it, it was still manifested. So when we come back, I'd like to get into that a little bit. Okay.
Of course.
Wonderful, wonderful. This is your host, Dr. Adrian Butler. We're talking with Karen Bashford, and she is known as the manifesting lady. And I tell you, we're having a great conversation as you continue to listen. And when we come back off a break, but while we're on break, I want you to think about a few things in your life that you want to come to pass. Not money. Look, let me share something with you guys. Money is, they call it currency for a reason. Current moves. It's going to move in and out. It's going to come to you, these things. If that's really what in life makes you happy, and you're my audience, 87,000 of you all, and I thank God for you. Your life can't be that empty. That money is the only thing you need to manifest in your life. So when we come back, we're going to have a discussion, a little deeper discussion with Karen Bashford. And we'll have that discussion and stay until after these messages. This is your host, Dr. Adrian Butler. We'll be right back. You are a queen or a concubine. With a queen, she is transformational. When God pulled the rib out of Adam's side, that moment, Adam's loneliness became metamorphosized into love and companionship. When man gives a woman a seed, she will give him back a baby. If he gives her a house, she will give him back a home. Her realm has nothing to do with power, but it has to do with the beauty of her divine influence that is placed on her. She is an ecclesiastical spirit that moves in such a way that grace flows from her. When she steps into the room, no one can help but to notice her because of her the divine will upon her. A queen is different than a concubine because a queen makes a difference in everyone's life.
Hello, this is Bishop Nadini Yababa, the Transitional Director for the Grace Project. I'm a part of the Board of Directors, and we have a message for you. Did you know that there are 250,000 families that are homeless in America? And the Grace Project is the solution. We refurbish homes and we build homes for families that are homeless. You can give financial donations and contact us through www.graceproject.info. We are a 501c3, so your donations are tax deductible. Again, you can contact us through www.graceproject.info. We are tax deductible. We are 501c3. Thank you in advance for your donations to the Grace Project.
And we're back. So happy to have you here with us. Listen, guys, as you listen to the ad, you know, the Grace Project is our ministry. We are building homes and refurbishing homes for the homeless and for our veterans here in America. And we want to thank you all as you subscribe to the show, whether you subscribe, you know, at the 99-cent level or the $10 level a month. All the proceeds go towards the Grace Project. Nothing goes into my pocket. Nothing goes into my lifestyle. The only thing we're here to do is try to help someone to, as we're talking about today, to manifest a home for people that might be on the street. So with that said, we're talking with Karen Bashford, and Karen is known as the manifesting lady. So welcome back to Moments of Grace, Karen.
Thank you very much indeed.
Wonderful, wonderful. So now, Karen, I want to, you know, you were talking about the two abusive relationships you were in, this powerful emotional connection after 50 years with your mother. Where did this journey, because that's where it started. How did the abusive relationships play into where you are now and what you're doing to help people?
Well, I realized after finishing my marriage that there had to be a reason behind why I chose somebody who had been through emotional abuse themselves. So I did research. I started my own personal development. I chose to ask lots and lots of questions of myself. And the answers would just come through unexpectedly. It was like there was a voice, or there was a feeling, or I'd see something that would give me the answers. Okay. And it was like, okay, so I've asked the question. This is part of the answer. What else do I need to know? And that's how it just continued, just constantly being given information that made total sense as to why I had married a man who was emotionally abusive, because I didn't know any better at the time.
So the problem solving was you didn't know any better. No. Not being and I would say your parents didn't abuse you, they just did not show that affection. And so self-love was just not on the table for you, I take it.
Definitely not. I didn't know what self-love was. I can laugh about it now. At the time, it was like, what's that?
I got you. Well, now, because we're in a different day and time, and I know we've had an emotional shift here in America, you know, when I, and using my story is my mother always told me she loved me. But my father, when I got out of the military, well, no, I got out of the military, but got out of basic training. And the first time when I came home after basic, my father at that time cried and told me he was proud of me, you know, and from that day forward, he told me he loved me. I think that with that generation, there may have been something stalwart within them that they had to be stern. We have to raise our children. There has to be a disconnect. There has to be a void, a gulf where those relationships don't cross. And so I know, like I said, we've had this dynamic shift. Parents tell their children they love them more and everything else here. What about England? So because people like yourself are raising up to help people. So are you part of that shift, or has that shift really started, or is it still culturally stern, emotionally?
I think we have definitely had a huge shift across to expressing emotions. Okay. Certainly, it's probably a lot more willingness since COVID, especially because it made people aware that just how much the words "I love you" actually mean.
Right. And now, if I'm not mistaken, it's either you have to, if you know, you have to help me out. It's either endorphins or dopamine in our brain that when we hear the words "I love you," it erupts an emotional response from us. Is that correct?
Yes, that's true. Yes.
Wonderful. And in your journey and all, I want to get into your book. I know I was looking at your first chapter here. You have some dynamic quotes, and this is a beautiful one by Helen Keller. The best and most beautiful thing in the world cannot be seen or touched. They must be felt with the heart. Why did you choose that?
When I actually wrote the book, I was conscious of the fact that even though my parents had never really been able to express their love of me, there was always this sense of being connected, of being part of them. And that quote was so appropriate. It really was.
Because you had not felt that in your heart yet, but you needed that. And since this revelation of love that has flowed in your life, what other things have happened, Karen? Maybe relationship wise, maybe in your marriage, maybe with other relationships. What shifted when that happened? Because that seems like a very heavy pivot point for you? It seemed like a crossroads for you that you said, well, I can continue to go down this road of being stalwart, or I can take this path of love. So what else has happened on this new journey that you're on? Because for 50 years, you were on a particular journey, being a finance person, I've done finances as well. We're kind of, kind of straight laced in everything. Finances is all about numbers. There's nothing touchy feeling about numbers and managing and these things. So this new path that you're on is definitely more personable than maybe what you were doing before. So share with us, relationship wise or whatever is on your heart.
Well, I suppose the biggest shift I had was recognizing emotions and feelings. Okay. As an abused person, as my parents, as I say, never abused me, but it is a form of neglect. Okay. And when you're neglected, you shut your emotions down, you shut your feelings down, you totally disconnect from them. And it was like this moment of, I am allowed to feel, I'm allowed to have emotions. It was interesting. It was probably at that point that I started to allow myself to cry. I was never a person who ever cried. I just didn't let it happen. Right. And it wasn't because I consciously chose not to let it happen. It just was not something I knew how to do. Right. And there was lots of moments like that where I learned something about myself and how I felt about life and how my emotions were there, but I'd never recognized them.
Never explored them. Right. Yeah, you can't explore something that you're not aware of, can you? If you're not a nuclear scientist, for them to stick you in a silo with some nukes wouldn't do you very much good, right? Well, and I guess that explains, and I won't put words in your mouth, but I guess that explains a little bit to me, as we're talking, how this beautiful title came up for your book, How to Be Imperfectly Perfect. Share with us that how that came about.
Well, just before COVID, I sensed there was this message coming through that was very much, you need to write something. But it was just going to be a freebie, just a short freebie explaining how abuse and trauma has an impact on the life. Okay. And as COVID started to kick off, it was like, no, you're not doing that. You're going to write a book. Okay, fine. Right. Go along with that. Right. And I had the message, 15 days, 15 chapters. And amazingly, I was given all the chapters, titles, and I was actually given the book title at the same time. Wow. Made perfect sense.
Right. And everything, I'm an author as well. Those things happen, and it's just mind blowing. Especially, I don't know about you, especially when you go back and you're reading, like, I wrote that, so it came from a well that you were just dipped into. It's you don't have the capacity. I've read like I said, read your book, and I don't know, I'm not putting you down. I'm not saying that, Karen, don't get me wrong, but some of the things that you bring up in your book have to come from a well deeper than a human experience, I think. And again, I pray and hope, what I'm saying. If you're like I am, I read my stuff and I'm like, where did that come from? I know that had to come from a divine place.
I totally agree with you. The whole experience was not something I'd ever thought I could do. I didn't believe that I was a writer. My capabilities of actually expressing myself were questionable at times, because part of the problem of not feeling loved is that I didn't believe in myself. Wow. And consequently, educational wise, I didn't do particularly well at school. Mm-hmm. So there's me sitting there writing a book thinking, how did I manage to do that?
Totally understand, my friend. I totally understand. And it is beautifully written. And like I told you earlier, very simple read, but simplicity does not negate impact. Simplicity does not negate impact. It is very impactful. With that said, Karen, our time is up. When someone reads the last chapter of your book, the last page of your book, what do you want them to remember for the rest of their life about how to be imperfectly perfect?
The one thing that I added at the very end of the book, that reading the book, there is magic within the book. I'm a very simplistic person. And for me, it is very much about people realizing they have the ability within themselves.
That's right.
To change their lives in whatever way is appropriate. And I hope this book creates that magic for them, because it's certainly created magic for me in the writing. So,
beautiful,
yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, Karen, how can people get your book? And do you, if someone here in the States or someone, because we have listeners all over the world, want you to come in and share your book, are you open to do that? You open to travel or?
Yeah, I'm certainly open to travel.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. How can they get your book, and how can people get in contact with you?
They can buy the book on Amazon, How to Be Imperfectly Perfect. It's under my name. They can contact me through my website, themanifestinglady.com. They can connect with me on LinkedIn as Karen Bashford. And if they choose to, they can also connect with me on Facebook as Karen A. Bashford. So yeah, they're welcome to connect any way they feel appropriate. Any way possible.
And I want to encourage you to do so. I truly believe everyone needs to understand their inner power. We all have it. The world tries to tell you you don't. Money tries to tell you if you had enough of it, you would be a great person. Spiritualists and certain other people will tell you you don't have it because you need to follow them. But absolutely, by all means, the inner power and inner peace is in you. And the only way that you're going to bring that about is to understand the power within, and you've got to take time and dig in that. Isn't that right, Karen?
Oh yes, can't just skim over it. You've got to dig deep to discover it.
Amen. And with that said, thank you, Karen, for being with us here on Moments of Grace, and we definitely have to get you back again. Okay.
Lovely. Thank you very much for your time. I really enjoyed being here.
Oh, we enjoyed having you. As you listen to Karen and I talk, I want you to take time. Love for you to get her book and read her book. She has a myriad of her story in the book, but also how she came to be where she's at. The power of manifesting is in each and every one of us. The moment you turn a light switch on, you manifested, you thought about it, you did an action, and then it happened. Like I said before, Lord, I wish people could get this. It is not about money. That stuff is going to come to you. It's going to come in and out of your life. And it's not about limiting what you can have and what you need to manifest. If you need more love in your life, try to give more. Whatever you give is going to come back to you. Whether you believe in the Bible as I do, you're going to reap exactly what you sow. Whether it's more love, whether it's hate, whether it's pain, those things are going to come back to you in a harvest, not just a seed you plant, but they come back into a harvest. Same thing with your thoughts. If you have great thoughts of kindness, of love, your harvest will be kindness and love. With that said, this is your host, Dr. A. Jerome Butler. And remember to love God, love life, keep the light on. We'll see you next time on Moments of Grace. Take care.